Welcome back, and welcome to the last episode of Rewire to Restore. 12 weeks ago, we started this series with a question I want to come back to right now. What if your exhaustion was never a character flaw and never something to manage your way through? But what if it was information? Information about a nervous system that has been working incredibly hard for a very long time without ever truly feeling safe. Over these 12 weeks, we've built 4 different lenses to look at your one nervous system through: your exhaustion pattern, your constitutional type, your chart, and your somatic practice. Today, we bring all 4 together because here's the truth. I want you to leave this series with, and I want to say it plainly right at the top, the goal was never to manage your symptoms better. It was to build a life in which your nervous system feels genuinely safe. That's it. That's the whole project. So many of us come to nervous system work looking for the fix, the supplement that will finally give us energy, the morning routine that will finally make us calm, the protocol that will finally make the exhaustion stop. And there is real value in supplements and routines and protocols. We've talked about plenty of them this series. But if you're using every one of them to manage a nervous system that still doesn't feel safe in your actual life, you will manage forever. You will never arrive. A regulated nervous system isn't a personal achievement that you unlock and keep. It's a byproduct of a life that gives your body enough evidence day after day that it doesn't have to stay braced. That's a different project than symptom management. It's not about becoming someone who can tolerate more. It's about building something your system doesn't have to tolerate. It can actually rest in. That's what today is about. Taking everything you've learned and turning it into a blueprint for that life. Before we synthesize, let's name the 4 lenses, because each one has given us a different kind of information. Your exhaustion pattern, hormonal hurricane, somatic store, constitutional mismatch, or transitional transformer. Whichever exhaustion pattern you are, it told us the shape your dysregulation tends to take and which systems in your body carry the load first. Your constitutional type, your Ayurvedic dosha, and your TCM 5 element type told us your baseline nature. Not what's wrong with you, but what you are underneath the exhaustion, what you need more of, and what depletes you faster than it depletes someone built differently. Your chart tells us timing and temperament, the planetary signatures that shape how your nervous system responds to stress, transition, and rest, and what season of your own life you're actually standing in right now. And your somatic practice gave you a direct line to your body a way to work with your nervous system in real time, not just understand it intellectually. 4 lenses, one nervous system. Today, we put them on the same table. Here's something I want to name honestly. It is entirely possible to know your pattern, know your dosha, know your chart, and know your somatic practice, and still feel just as exhausted as when you started. Information alone doesn't regulate your nervous system. I've watched women in this program collect frameworks like badges, fascinated by all 4, able to explain all 4 to a friend at dinner, and still living a life that keeps their body on high alert. The frameworks aren't the healing, they're the map. The healing happens when you use the map to actually change what your Tuesday looks like. So today isn't about adding a 5th framework. It's about the much less glamorous, much more powerful work of synthesis. Taking what 4 different systems have told you about yourself and asking one honest question. Given all of this, what does my actual ordinary life need to look like? Let's build this together. Step 1, return to your exhaustion pattern and ask what it needs structurally, not just symptomatically. If you're a hormonal hurricane, your blueprint needs rhythm, consistent meal timing, protected sleep windows, and a hard boundary around the chronic overcommitment that keeps cortisol elevated. If you're a somatic storer, your blueprint needs regular, non-negotiable discharge, movement or somatic practice that isn't optional because your body stores what it doesn't move. If you're navigating a constitutional mismatch, your blueprint needs permission. An honest look at where your life is still asking you to operate against your nature, and the courage to change what's actually changeable. And if you're a transitional transformer, your blueprint needs spaciousness, margin built into your calendar and your expectations, because you're not just managing stress, you're metabolizing a life transition. Whatever your pattern, ask yourself, what is the one structural thing, not a supplement, not a mindset shift, an actual structural thing that my pattern has been asking me for all series long? Step 2, layer in your constitutional type. This is where you ask, not what does exhaustion need, but what does my nature need in order to become exhausted again? If you're Vata by constitution or a wood type in TCM terms, your blueprint needs rhythm and grounding built in permanently, not just during a flare, but as a baseline. If you run Pitta or fire dominant, your blueprint needs built-in cooling and rest before you think you need it, because your nature will drive you past the edge and call it productivity. If you're Kapha or earth dominant, your blueprint needs movement and stimulation woven in deliberately, so steadiness doesn't slide into stagnation. Your constitutional type is the operating system underneath your exhaustion pattern. Your pattern tells you what broke. Your constitution tells you what it takes to keep it from breaking again. Step 3, your chart. This is the layer that adds timing and temperament to the blueprint. It tells you not just what you need, but when you're likely to need extra support and why certain seasons of your life hit your nervous system harder than others. If your chart carries a strong Saturn or Pluto signature, your blueprint needs to expect and plan for periods of contraction and restructuring. They're not setbacks, they're part of your design. If Uranus or Mercury features prominently, your blueprint needs deliberate anchors against overstimulation because your nervous system is wired for more voltage and more ideas than most. And it needs somewhere to land. If the moon or Venus is emphasized, your blueprint needs relational and sensory nourishment built in as a non-negotiable, not a luxury. You don't need to be an astrologer to use this. You just need to notice, what does my chart suggest I'm more sensitive to? And have I built any protection around that at all? Step 4, your somatic practice. Of all 4 lenses, this is the one that operates in real time. It's the daily thread that ties the other 3 together because it's the practice that lets your body actually register safety moment to moment, rather than just understanding safety conceptually. Your pattern and your constitution tell you what your life should look like on paper. Your chart tells you when to expect friction. But your somatic practice is what teaches your actual nervous system in your actual body that it's allowed to come down out of activation right now. It's the difference between knowing you should feel safe and your body believing it. So the blueprint isn't complete without a daily or near daily practice, however short. That isn't about achieving a goal. It's about giving your body direct, repeated evidence. Put those 4 steps together and you have your personal restoration map. Your pattern names what broke and what structure it needs. Your constitution names your baseline nature and what keeps you there. Your chart names your timing and your sensitivities. Your somatic practice is the daily thread that runs underneath all 3. Teaching your body safety in real time. This isn't a document you fill out once and file away. It's closer to a compass, something you return to whenever life gets loud again, and you're not sure why you suddenly feel undone. 9 times out of 10, when I sit with a woman in this exact moment, one of these 4 areas has quietly slipped. The map tells you which one and what to do about it. There's a companion workbook for this episode, the Restoration Blueprint Workbook, that walks you through building this out fully, section by section, in your own words. It's linked below. And it's the single most useful thing you'll take from this entire series. I want to spend a few minutes on something people rarely say out loud. Long-term nervous system health is not the absence of stress. It's not a life where nothing ever activates you. That life doesn't exist. And chasing it will exhaust you all over again. A regulated nervous system is one with capacity. It can move into activation when life calls for it. And then, critically, it can come back down. That return is the whole game. Not staying calm, returning to calm. So a healthy nervous system still gets startled, still grieves, still has hard weeks. The difference is the wobble doesn't turn into collapse, and the hard week doesn't turn into a hard year. You feel the activation. You have practices and a life structure that let you come back down, and you trust that you will. That trust, that felt sense that you always come back, is what safety feels like day to day. So, how do you know it's working? Not in dramatic before and afters, but in the quieter signs that tend to show up first. You recover faster. The bad day still happens, but it takes hours to settle instead of days. You notice sooner. You catch the tight chest or the shallow breath at 2 p.m. instead of realizing at midnight that you've been braced all day. You say no with less anguish. The guilt doesn't disappear, but it doesn't run the decision anymore. You can be still without it feeling dangerous. Rest stops being something you have to earn or justify. And difficult emotions move through you instead of getting stored. Grief, anger, disappointment arrive, get felt, and pass rather than lodging somewhere in your body. If even one or two of these are true for you compared to 12 weeks ago, that is real healing. Nervous system change is rarely loud, it's cumulative, and it's usually visible in retrospect long before it's visible in the moment. A quick callback to what we talked about last week. Healing isn't linear, and this blueprint isn't a guarantee that you'll never feel depleted again. It's a set of tools that make the depleted weeks shorter and the good stretches longer and more frequent. Keep your map somewhere you'll actually see it. Update it as your life changes. The blueprint that serves you now won't be identical to the one you need in 5 years. And that's not failure. That's the natural evolution of a life that keeps being lived. 12 weeks ago, you started this series exhausted, probably looking for one more thing to fix you. I hope what you found instead was something steadier, a way of understanding your own body that doesn't require you be broken in order to make sense. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not failing at rest. You have a nervous system that has been doing exactly what nervous systems do under years of unrelenting demand. And now you have 4 different ways of understanding it and one map that brings them together. If everything we've built in these 12 weeks has felt true, and you're ready to keep building this blueprint with real support instead of doing it alone, this is exactly what the Life Force Reclamation Program is for. Inside the program, we take your personal restoration map and actually live with it month by month, season by season, with live Q&A calls, a community of women doing this same work, and me walking alongside you as your life keeps changing and your blueprint keeps evolving with it. This series gave you the map. The program is where you walk it with company, not alone. The link is below. I would be honored to keep doing this work with you. Thank you for spending these 12 weeks with me. Whatever you build from here, with or without the program, I hope it's a life your nervous system can actually rest in. Rest is not a reward you earn after the work is done. It's medicine all the way through. Take good care of yourself.